A program formed of over 300 players with only very few remaining, so it's no shock people tend to ask who is the best striker in all Blue Lock. Even with so few players remaining, it's still difficult to decide on who the best out of those players is the best striker, so we'll need to dumb it down to a few players. But before getting started, I post this type of content each Monday, so it's about enjoying the fam. Alright, let's get started. So choosing the best striker in all Blue Lock is quite a tedious process, so in order to make it easier, I'm choosing 5 players who I believe at least one of them is the best striker in Blue Lock. This is not a top 5 list by the way, I'm just choosing 5 contenders and choosing one of them to be the best striker in my opinion. The first player I chose, whom I think fits this category perfectly, is the main character, Isagi Yoichi. I find that Isagi fits this role as one of the best strikers among everybody in Blue Lock. Isagi may seem like just an ordinary player with no special talent as a player, but you'd be dead wrong by saying that. Due to Isagi's special awareness and intelligence, he's one of the most consistent scorers in the series. Isagi scores nearly every game he's in and shines when the game is at its most intense. Ego said at the start of the series that a true striker shows his colors when the game is at its most intense, which Isagi does. On top of Isagi's IQ and vision, his mentality and ego makes him more of a challenge to face mentally than physically. Ever since the Neo-Egoist League, Isagi leveled up his whole thing, his dribbling, his vision, and having all around better stats, and is now able to beat players like Yukimiya in 1v1s. Isagi has an insane striker resume, scoring how many game-winning goals, and even standing out against the best of players such as Rin and Shido. I think it's needless to say that Isagi is one of the players with the most high potential in all of Blue Lock and is definitely one of the best strikers. Alright, that's enough Isagi glazing. Now for another person I have on this list, I have the narcissistic king, Baro Shuei. Realistically, I don't have much to say about why I chose Baro, but I know there'll be that one guy in the comments who disagrees, so this is for you, Jeffrey. So, Baro I'd say is a top 3 contender for the spot with the most egotistical mindset in the series, so much to the point where he often refuses to pass to his teammates. Despite barely ever passing to teammates, because of his shot range and chop dribble, he still finds a way to rule the field and score goals as the king and ruler of the field. People often forget that Baro is honestly one of the most consistent scorers in Blue Lock and had many dominant performances, such as the Ubers vs Barsha game scoring a hat-trick. I know that one dude would be like, oh, but Ubers carry him. I'd say that's somewhat true, but you tend to call Baro a fraud for getting most of his pre-Neo-Egoist performances. There's no denying Baro is a beast, and even when he seems to be relevant to the game, he comes in and scores the last minute. Despite being very reckless at times and too egotistical for his own good, there's no denying Baro is one of the best strikers in Blue Lock. It's probably because the only position Baro can play is striker because it doesn't pass, but the point is he's a master of his class. Anyways, for the third person I've chosen to take place on this list, we got the demon, Shido Ryusei. Shido's one of the most insane players physically and mentally we've seen in the series and is a naturally born striker. Shido has by far the best weapon as a striker would need. He can score from anywhere on the field, even with his back turned, with his extreme spatial scoring awareness. We've seen Shido score insane goals due to his flexibility complementing his weapon perfectly. He scored insane goals against Kunigami in the third selection, his Dragon Drive, and his most notable goal, the Big Bang Drive. Even Ryo said himself that in positions no other player would be able to score in, Shido is able to score in them. So Shido Ryusei is not your typical striker. His downside though is that even whilst Shido's potential is endless that's would say of course. Playing with him alone can be difficult at times and limits not only himself but his teammates as well. Anyways, I have not much else to say about Shido, so for another person I chose to be in this top 5 strikers list, we got the lazy genius, Seishiro Nagi. Nagi is without a doubt one of the best players in the series as he is naturally talented and he's able to score the 10 air. Nagi uses his trapping ability in such a good way to the point where he's able to score against people like Kaiser and Isagi who had both mid division at that time. People often forget that Nagi is actually a really reliable striker who has scored in every game we've seen him play in the series and is probably the most consistent player on this lineup. On top of that, other than Isagi, in an actual game, Nagi is the second most accurate scorer, tied with Shido, that I've chose in this role. There's no denying that Nagi is an incredibly talented player, and if he just took Agi's advice, he would be even better than he currently is. That's why I have Nagi in this top 5. And now, the last contender for the best striker role, we got Mr. OG Emo, Itoshi Rin. It's physically impossible to choose players based off skill and not choose Rin as at least one of these picks. Rin's quite literally, in my opinion, the best player in Blue Lock. No matter what position, striker, midfielder, defender, Rin is top 5. On this list though, I chose Rin for the fact that one of his main weapons is shot accuracy, and Rin no joke scores every game. Basically had a perfect scoring ratio until the U20 game when he was acting brash due to the fact he was playing against his brother Sei. In this strict conversation, it's impossible to not include Rin's flow, which made Rin the ultimate striker. That's all I have for Rin. Now on to the main part. Out of those 5, who is the best striker in all Blue Lock? Well, to decide this, we're going to have to eliminate a few players to decide it. For the first elimination in this conversation, I chose to eliminate Isagi. I eliminated Isagi for the fact that Isagi isn't the type of player who can score out of thin air, and other than creating his own possibilities, he often is courted last minute and is able to shine last minute. To score, Isagi has to make whole ass calculations, and it usually happens at the end of the game. Whilst good, he's not the type of striker that's able to fully commit to his position and often passes up the chance to score for his own petty reasons. Many people even say Isagi is better at playing midfielder than striker. Next up, I eliminated Baro Shuei. I decided to eliminate Baro because of the opposite reason of Isagi actually. Unlike Isagi, Baro doesn't pass enough, which limits his scoring opportunities, letting other teams or players score instead of him. As a striker, you need to pass just the perfect amount in order to score yourself, and we've seen how Baro plays when he actually decides to pass, so that's why I eliminated him. For the last player I eliminated, I chose Seishiro Nagi. I chose Nagi for the fact that Nagi has been the type of player to score in the early game and not show up big after he scores. To be honest, I just did pull a reason out of my ass to eliminate them. The real reason is because they can't compare to Rin and Shido. So now that we got it down to Rin and Shido, who is the best between them? Now I nearly had hold on a minute. I need to clear my throat real quick. Alright, that's good. Nearly had the stroke deciding, so we're gonna have to dive deep to find the answer. Ever since the third selection, Shido has scored 8 goals, 6 goals in the third selection, and 2 goals in the U20 game. Whilst for Rin, he scored 9 goals, 7 in the third selection, 1 goal in the U20 match, and 1 goal in the DaEgoist match. You may look at these and decide that Rin is the best because he scored the most goals, but we have to take account of their abilities. Like I said before, Shido has the best scoring ability with his weapon, flexibility, and a physique that's able to make him score out of thin air. Rin's advantage as a striker is his shot accuracy and adaptability, letting him score any way he sees fit. Even whilst Rin has scored more and is more consistent, I think if we dumbed it down to being a pure striker, Shido would fit the definition perfectly, thus winning the title as Blue Lock's best striker. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment what takes you disagree/agree on. Sub up. That's it for me. Yob yob.